It's it live now. Sorry, I was cussing a wee bit. I didn't care what this thing was doing. That's it now, I think. Yeah, I was just getting a bit. I haven't done a live for a wee while, but it took me about a few attempts to get this to work. It was just starting to really annoy me because it was I was dictating how to do it in a portrait, and I hate the portrait. I like the landscape, but it's working now, I think. I think that's it now. It was just, anyway, that's it live. Right, hello, hi all, how you doing? I haven't done a live for a while. I hope I've got the chats on. Yeah, I do. Oh, someone in, I think. Is it someone in? Yeah, they could put a chat to live chat. Invisible. Yep. Jimbo. Oh, hi Jimbo. Yeah, I came through and yeah, it was just, it took me ages to get this to work. I was trying to get the live. I hadn't done one for a while, and it was forcing me to do the portrait, and I hate portraits. I just don't like the portrait mode on any of them. I like the landscape, but they've changed this. They've upgraded the settings or something, and it took me a while to get it to eventually go to. Oh, looking at the chart, it took me a while to get to go to the horizontal, so I was a bit. I had to reset it about 3 attempts before it actually finally get live. So yeah, hello, and I was just. I'm a bit out of touch. I've not done a live for ages. The last time I done a live, I was at the Olympia car park, and 2 of my mates were on the live, and they came up and hijacked the live. They came up, they tried to sneak up on me, but I saw the thing in movement in the corner. I suspected we're going to try and do that there, but I know one of them's in somewhere else, busy at the moment. So yeah, I was going to say to the channel, I've been busy lately with just be working that. I finally, the day off the day, I was trying to squeeze in some videos. The last couple of videos that I'd done were the exploration around the old castle, the Ballinbreckie Castle. I put that video up just, I think it's the 2 previous to this, and earlier today actually I went and had a look at the old McDonald's that went. Why did I go and say it like that? Old McDonald's. The McDonald's restaurant that went on fire just at the Montefiore. It's the old building. It's not old, it's an old ruin that's gone now. I think they're building a new one on it. But luckily there wasn't any reports of any injuries due to the fire. So I just feel a wee bit. I haven't done a live for a while, so forgive me. I must have been last. Oh god, it was the later part of last year. It's when I had my dad's car. I had to shop my dad's car because my own car, this one now, which is running fine, it was in getting its engine overhauled, and I've actually put a video up on my channel showing the parts, the old parts of the engine. I put it in basically because it was burning too much oil. It's the EA 888 Gen 2. It's a Skoda Octavia, but the engine's part of the Volkswagen Audi group, and it's been known, these engines are infamously known for burning lots of oil. So now that it's been overhauled, they re-honed the cylinder bores, and it's to do with the cross hatching on the cylinder bores. When they actually bore it out in the factory, I don't work in the factories and try to explain it, but the way that the boring machine bores the cylinder bores out in the cylinder block, it's got to leave a kind of cross hatch pattern on the cylinder walls. So if the guy I was speaking to that was overhauling the engine, if they weren't done the way that they could have been done, it resulted in it burning oil, he reckons. So he basically re-honed the cylinder bores and changed the cross hatch pattern on the cylinder bores, I got new piston rings, pistons, and various other things, and it's not burning any oil now. So the car was off for 3 months, actually. So the last previous live that I'd done was in my dad's car, and that's when the team of mates snuck up on me. One of them was dressed in the Spider-Man outfit. The other video I've done lately was the point-to-point challenges. Now, that I do in conjunction with Struan Jennings' YouTube channel, and he has compiled up his version of the point-to-point challenge that the three of us do. There's me, there's Struan, and there's Cian, and I've got my version as well to put up onto my channel, and I'll put the link in the description to Struan's channel, to his video, so you can get both versions. You get my version, and if you like to see Struan Jennings' version, then just go to the description in my video, and then you'll click the link, and then you'll see his version. Because I send my footage to Struan Jennings, and he edits it into his version. Whereas with my version, I just use it all with my own footage, and I don't really edit it quite the way Struan does it. I tend to just make it more of a feature length. It's easier to edit, basically. So mine's just a lot longer, but it's more centred on my own car, so I've got my camera there. And the point of the point-to-point challenge, that's a line, the point of it, it's about getting from the starting point to various checkpoints around the city or parts of Scotland, well, it's usually just locally, and the purpose is to get there through the checkpoints, get a selfie at the checkpoints, and get to the finishing point to get there first, basically. So that's the purpose of it. We sort of all kind of took part in it and came up with the idea that Struan Jennings does, like, well, he heavily does a lot of editing with his version, and at the start of my version anyway, we have like a fancy dress as well, just for a comedy, and Cian, he does the character Gregor's, but you'll know what I mean when you see it anyway. But we put that on sometimes on geocaching as well, where it's just for a laugh. There was demand for it, I mean, so we've done it. The three of us do the take part in that part of the fancy dress, but we usually I usually stick it on at the start of the point-to-point, because it's all three of us that do the point-to-point anyway, and they two are always up for a laugh, so it's good fun, like. So the point-to-point, as I say, is mainly locally around about the Dundee area. That's where we're from, well, that's where I'm from, and Cian's from. Struan doesn't actually live in Dundee, but he knows Dundee, but not as well as, well, I mean, not as well as me or Cian. I mean, if you had Struan's age and Cian's age together, it still wouldn't come up to my age. So I know Dundee, like, I've lived here all my life, so I know it very well. I've got the upper advantage. I've been driving obviously a lot longer than Cian has, but Cian did actually win a few of them. We've done other things as well regarding point-to-point. We've done like public transport. Cian took the coach, me and Struan drove, and it was the challenge to get from Perth, the city of Perth, to Dundee, and actually I won that one. Cian came in second. He took the coach, the public transport. So that's up on the channels. I've just been I was at the cinema there, at the Cineworld. I was watching a film called Holdover. It was really quite entertaining, actually. It was set in the cinema. Oops, something's happened to the light. It kind of went. I don't know if it's what it's like on your end, but it's sort of dimmed on the camera. I don't know if this is starting to play up again. Probably is. But anyway, yeah, the film was really good. It's far and few that well, for me anyway, in my opinion, there's far and few films that were, that I really enjoy. A lot of the modern films are just not really my cup of tea. They're too fast. There's too many storylines. They're just all about special effects. You know, I'm not really into that. But the Holdover, the 2023 film, it's rated as a comedy drama like thing. That's what it's rated. So I found it parts of it quite funny, actually, to be honest. I actually really enjoyed it. I had a storyline. It was at a mellow pace. The background music and the songs that were in it were good, quite relaxing, quite good. It was just a good film, good atmosphere. I enjoyed the storyline, I really do. I can't remember all the actors' names. I don't have the list. I'm not very good at them, but I know the face, one of the faces that were the actors was well known in it. I can't remember off the top of my head, and hopeless wee names. But the Holdover, I really enjoyed it. I would recommend if you like a film that's sort of traditional, I suppose, rather than all about special effects or these modern films that have got about 10 billion storylines in the one film, and it lasts about 20, about 100 years long film. It lasts for 3 hours films, 2.5 hours, 3 hours of films that are just constantly special effects, storylines. I can't even keep up with them. Within the first 5 minutes, there's about 1 billion things that's happened in the movie, and I've lost track. The film's left me way back. You know what I mean? It's way, and too many films are like that these days. But I like the older films, like the 70s, 80s films, that are actually at a pace where you could keep up and relish the storylines. And you get a chance to really enjoy. Well, I do anyway. I get a chance to enjoy these films. Like a lot of the older films. I'm not into this fast-paced film. I mean, I do like the action films. I mean, the ones that I grew up with, like I suppose like the earlier James Bond films. I like the action films, the racing films as well, racing cars. And there's Steve McQueen, Bullet, Duel, Convoy, the 70s, Smokey and the Bandit, all that sort of pace. Convoy was one of my favourite films from the 70s, with Chris Christopherson in it. It was regarding the trucks, the convoys. That kind of films, and at that pace. Like the Rockies as well, I like that. Rocky Balboa, Rocky 4, and all these things. Oh, I just looked at the charts. Oh, Kevin, it's just self. Oh, you're on there, aren't you? How you doing? Yeah, I was just going through just some of the films that I like. The kind of, well, the type of film, the design, the way it is, the earlier films, thrillers and things like that, like disaster movies, Towering Inferno, that kind of film from the 70s. That's the type of film. Jaws, the original Supermans, films where you can actually get a chance to relish what's going on. But I went through the listings for the films at the cinema. When I became a member, Cineworld member, 24 years ago, 1999 it was, the later part of it. I could go to the listings and there'd be lots of films that a lot more anyway, that I could enjoy. But as time goes on, within the last 10 years anyway, maybe a bit more than that, I've looked at the listings and a lot of them are just not for me at all. They're just, not my cup of tea. There's a few times I've just walked out because it's been absolutely not my type of film, because it's too fast, too many storylines. It's more, I don't know, it's more like if you're, it's almost like, I don't know, virtual fast action, but special effects, CGI. That's far too much of that. Mid-life crisis, mate. Mid-life crisis. Okay. Well, I've got my coffee. That'll sort that out, won't it? So, I really enjoyed that film, The Holdover. It was set in the 70s. Well, no, it was made in modern, 2023, but it was set back. The plot was set back in the 70s, so it had the 70s sort of style with it. They even put it on to how it looked like on a 35mm, or whatever it was, the millimeter, the film, the actual celluloid films that they used to use at the cinema. That you saw the static on the screens as well. So they replicated the static, and they basically, it was really quite authentic. So it was good. I liked that, and it was quite well put together. That showed there was old cars on it from that time, and there was when there was a telly on in the film. Even the programs that were on that were from probably the original. Coffee will chill. I got it from McDonald's there. That was the finishing point for the last point to point that I put up. I was wondering who was it, because sometimes there's a lot of horns going on there. That's the sort of thing they would do if they were sneaking up on. I wonder if that's Kieran, because he comes here sometimes, and that'd be the sort of thing he would do. He would toot a horn or something. There's a lot of horns getting tooted there at the back. But yeah, the older films, as I say, well, for me anyway, the ones I grew up with, the 80s, 70s, 80s, all these types of films, some of the 90s films, some of the early 2000s as well. Occasionally you'll get a good film. I mean, the film before I watched, the last time I was here, the Jason Statham film, or I can't put Stratham, is it Stratham? He was in the Transporters, Jason Stratham. Hopeless with names, but that last film, The Beekeeper, that was it. The Beekeeper, I really enjoyed that. I mean, with Jason in it, I like his type of film. Anyway, if there's a character or an actor in it that I like, if it's modern, I tend to just watch it because I enjoy them being in it. I don't care what the storylines, as long as they're in it. Like Tom Hanks, I like his films. I might not really. The storyline might be, normally they're good when they're in them. The film did I see tonight? It was the Holdovers 2023. It was about boarding school. I can't remember the actor's name, but I know the face well. Because usually that's what happens when you're trying. I've no what to do anything. I was just earlier on the day. I was looking through the listings on the phone there for the cinema films. I've got a membership, so I could really go and watch anything. And I saw the trailer. And the actor, it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you go to the cinema and come out feeling as though you enjoyed the film, it was worth going. There's been a lot of times more lately though that I've went in there and just sat and watched it for the sake of it because I'm a member and just to get us at the house. And the film was utter, not my type of, just not really that enjoyable. I didn't come out feeling as though I enjoyed it. I was like walking back thinking, what the heck have I just saw? It was just, didn't get into it at all. But so that was what I did. Earlier today, I mentioned I was at the McDonald's, the one that burnt down. As I say, the most important thing is that there wasn't any reports of any injuries. The staff that were in it, I don't know if they've been relocated or what. Are they made redundant? I thought they probably would have, but I don't know. They might have been put into other places to work, other McDonald's branches, and I don't know. They might temporarily make them redundant until they build a new one. I don't know, but I believe they're building a new McDonald's there. It was reported to be an ice machine that caused the fire. So, but it just blows me away how an ice machine, it was in the small hours, how could an ice machine totally destroy a building? I mean, surely if it was, to me it just seems mind-boggling as to, but anyway, not just implying anything, that's what it said, so that caused it in the official reports. I just surprised, how could there's people working in there, in the McDonald's when it happened. An ice machine, surely they would just get the extinguisher on it and put it out immediately. But, that's all very well, I suppose, me saying that. I wasn't there to see it. I don't know what it's like working there, how big the ice machine was. It could be gas. If I was next to a gas main or whatever, then all hell breaks loose if it does that. But it just surprised me when I saw the extent of the damage. You'll see on my video, the one before, in fact, I uploaded the video earlier. I made the video earlier today and uploaded it, so it'll be before this live. And I got footage of it, the aftermath of it, and it was completely destroyed, the building, So if it's it happened in the small hours, but if there's people in it, I guessed the smoke would have been the first sign of a problem. Then they would have switched it off and got the fire extinguisher and the fire brigade from Barn Hill, which is maybe a couple of miles, would have got there, and next to no time we'd have been virtually no traffic at that time of night, and we'd have had the fire under control and saved it. But it was just totally wrecked. I was just blown away as to the damage caused how an ice machine could do that. But I'm no fire expert, so I don't know. That's just my opinion. It just blew me away when I saw the damage. And, but the most important thing is that nobody was hurt. Well, there was no reports of any injuries. So. It's just I try to read the chat, but it's a wee bit hard with the. There's not much good films on just now. Hoping to see the new Ghostbusters. Yeah, you like the Ghostbusters. I know you do, like Kev. Kevin, I'm late. What movie did he see? Oh, Trauma. Trauma. What am I like? Sorry, Truman. I just can't. Hopeless with spelling. Forgive me if I said it. Truman. And I'm absolutely hopeless at pronouncing words. Sorry. Truman. Oh, you were late. It was the film. I'm reading other thing as well. I love the hoodie. I haven't had that movie, but I never got it. It's Friday versus Jason. That was well reminded me. Now, the film that I watched just there was it was called Holdover. So it was a really good film. It was. I really enjoyed it. It was like a proper storyline, and the music in the background music and the songs that were playing in it and the acting. It was a long film, but I was really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it anyway. I'd recommend it. This, by the way, Kevin, you gave me it for Christmas. This is the Freddy versus Jason. I don't know if I could. You'll see it there. Just Freddy versus Jason, and Jason Voorhees is obviously the one I would cheer. And a fan of Jason. He ripped Freddy's head off. Jason Voorhees, he won it. He won the fight. The film was made years ago. It was made 2003, I think. 2003, because I had Jason. Well, the Friday the 13th. That was this hoodie that I got for my Christmas from. Thanks again, Kev, from Kevin. The franchise, that was the latest one. That Jason was played by Ken Krisner. The previous four were done by Kane Hodder. Actually, on the Facebook, I sent messages because Ken Hodder's got his own Facebook profile, and he played Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th from part 7 to part 10. He played it in 4 of them. He played in part 7, part 8. They were like the last of the Crystal Lake ones. Well, part 8 was meant to be was Manhattan, but it started off from Crystal Lake. Jason Goes to Hell Part 9. I didn't like that film. That was the worst of the lot. Didn't get into it at all. Although Kane Hodder played Jason, when you saw him playing it, he played it well as per usual. But the actual storyline of Part 9 was a weak. For me, I didn't like it. Didn't like Part 9 at all. It was just. Nah. But I've got a collection. I would still keep it because it's Kane Hodder's. I like Kane Hodder playing Jason Voorhees. He plays it well. And all the others that played Jason Voorhees also played it well too. But Kane Hodder, I wish that was him that played it from the start to the latest. I just, I kind of like the way he played it in particular. I like the way they all played it, but Kane played it really, really good. So the Friday the 13th, basically, I've got all of them. They started off from 1980. That was part 1, which was Jason Voorhees' mother that done the killings, and that was Betsy Palmer was the actress that played the Jason Voorhees' mother. But and she done the killings in it. But then when part 2 came out, it was Jason Voorhees, and from there on it was Jason Voorhees that done the killing. And right up until the last one that was made, the most. Well, no, not I tell a lie. This wasn't the last one. There was a Friday the 13th reboot, and that was I think 2009. I've got that as well. So this was the second last one that they made. The Freddy versus Jason. The Jason reboot was okay. That wasn't bad. But the Freddy vs Jason was interesting. It was when the one before Freddy vs Jason was Jason X, when Jason Goes to Space. It was played by Kane Hodder again. Jason Voorhees was played by Kane Hodder. But the storyline was just getting silly, in space and everything. It was set in the future, but it was still good. Oh no, Truman, I didn't spoil it, did I? Oh, you haven't saw it? Alright, I won't spoil it anymore, but it's worth watching anyway. I'll tell you this, I'm a fan of the Jason Voorhees, so I was happy to... and Jason Voorhees was played by Ken Krisner in this Freddy versus Jason. It was Freddy that started it, but it was Jason that... I won't spoil it. You'll enjoy it anyway, you know what I mean. Spoiler alert, you'll enjoy it. Oh, I've got the box set here. I will need to upgrade to 4K at some point. You've got it to 4K. Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't actually have a box set, but through the years I've actually collected the DVDs. But I might invest in a box set, get it all, in 4K, I suppose. I don't know if you might even get it online. I suppose you stream the box set or something. I don't know. But I don't really care too much about the, if it's in 4K or high def and that, because the films for me were the original ones from the 80s were the way they were. When I watched it originally in the 80s, it was on a VHS tape, and I remember seeing it when I was on holiday. Went up to our relatives up the north of Scotland there during my school holidays, and I used to rent out, well, I used to select a video to rent out, and it was on VHS, and the quality was just as it was. So I'm not really too fussy about the quality. I mean, 4K and high def is, as long as I see the film and it's in colour and it sounds, I could get the storyline, and I find Jason Voorhees the character of Jason Voorhees interestingly quite smart, quite cool, I suppose. I like Jason Voorhees. So as my mate will know, he knew this and got me this for my Christmas. So yeah, it's quite alright. Yeah, it doesn't have any pockets, but hoodies. Sometimes you get the pockets on some hoodies. Sometimes you get that wee bit at the bottom where you could tuck things in. I missed that. Many a times I've been wanting to put something there and it's not. But that's the only downside. But I'm just being too fussy. My other mate on here texted me about that previous film that video that I put up last about the McDonald's. And there was a wee bit in that McDonald's video that I put up showing the spellings of McDonald's. So the McDonald's, it's now called McDonald's in this in this reality. This is going to sound mind-boggling for those that don't understand the Mandela effect phenomenon. I don't know, like every time I mention the Mandela effect phenomenon on any of my videos, I do my best to mention shortly afterwards this. I say, if you are interested in the Mandela effect phenomena, do your own research or searching into it and come to your own conclusion regarding the Mandela effect phenomena. So, the spelling of McDonald's, for me, I always remember it being MacDonald's. It was M-A-C in Donald's. So that's why I purposely and deliberately put that spelling on my video that I put on earlier regarding it. And I got a text back from my other mate that watched it and said something about the spelling was wrong. So I texted back and said, no, I deliberately spelt it that way. And if you watch my video, I put a wee bit at the bottom corner there saying that McDonald's used to be MacDonald's, and it was being Mandela affected because I remember it being McDonald's, hence the name Big Mac. Oh, that's gone down again. Hope it's alright at your end, viewers, because it's every time there's something that makes it go dim and I get really worried in case it's going to start messing about again, because I had problems loading this, so I just hope that it doesn't. I think actually it might be I think it could be the headlights from the cars that are coming up. It's causing it could be causing the lens. I don't know, it certainly went dim. I thought it was going to start playing up again, but it didn't. What was I saying? Yeah, the spelling of McDonald's, it was always McDonald's for me, hence the name, the Big Mac meal, which is ironic really, because the Big Mac meal was their flagship meal, which is now their value meal. Ironic as that. I remember back in 91, I went to the Reform Street one, the McDonald's on Reform Street, and I got a Big Mac meal for £2.88. £2.88. I remember that. But now if you get your meals out there, you're getting for what, just under a tenner, depending on what it is. But the Big Mac is now the cheapest meal, but it's over £6. But it's regarded as a value meal, whereas at once upon a time that was their big flagship meal. So it's completely gone from being the big meal, the flagship, the Big Mac, why it's called Big Mac, to a value meal, which is the cheapest, which is still dear, a lot dearer than what it used to be. It used to be £2.88 for a Big Mac meal. Mind you, 30 odd years ago, £2.88 was worth a lot more than what £2.88 is worth now. Yeah, somebody left like the sign at the McDonald's, at the one that burned down, the advertising sign, the cheese, was it the McCheese meal or something? McCheese burger or whatever it is. It looked disgusting. I don't like it anyway, but it had cheese melt under it. So it had been burnt down, but they left that advertisement up with the word, part of the advertising with the word melt in it, so I noticed that anyway. I don't know why that was the only one that was there, that happened to be the only advert that I've seen so far that has the word melt in it, and that McDonald's is burnt down. But there's no any other advertisement. No, it's about the cheese melt. Something to do with a cheese burger, melt with cheese, but it looks disgusting. I mean, I've seen it on billboards, not that particular advert, but there's other adverts like on bus stops and that, high def adverts, where it shows a burger with the stuff melting and dripping down it. At least absolutely, well, for me anyway, at least disgusting, like, and off, but it puts me off looking at it. I'm like, yuck. But a chat. Oh, 4K is a huge upgrade. It's amazing to see my old videos from 80s movies. As if you're almost there. I'd recommend it at some point when prices come down. Yeah, or stream it if you have 4K. Yeah. The thing is, Truman, the 4K TV. I don't think my TV is 4K. I think it only goes up to high def, which is 1080p. I don't know. I'm not that technically minded. Blu-ray, is that 4K? Is it? I don't know. Somebody, Kev, you can. Is 4K? Is that? Is Blu-ray 4K? I don't know. But I believe I wouldn't be much point in getting, well, for me anyway, I don't think I would see the benefit of getting the 4K box set if my TV doesn't. I think you'd have to get the whole package then. The TV would have to be capable of reproducing the 4K effects, and I'm not sure if my TV does that. I've never really thought about it. But see, I've just been content with. Even before I had high def, I was content the way it was. It was how it was, as long as I saw it as long as I saw the screen and it was the sound and hear what was going on and see what was going on, I was happy with that. But then it went from that to high definition TV, and then from high definition TV it goes up to 4K. Is that right? I think 1080p's high def, isn't it? I don't know. I really don't know. But I believe that you could be spending money unwisely on a 4K package if the hardware that you've got isn't. Your TV will have to be up to it's going to have to be up to scratch to play 4K. It'll be like putting a 4K DVD in and the TV's going to be the letdown. You're not going to benefit. So I'm certainly not going to be spending extra money for a new TV because I'm not quite happy with it. The cinema is, I think the digital cinema, is that 4K? Is it? No, I don't think it is 4K. Maybe you'll know in the chats. The cinemas, I know that they used to be I was up in the projector room, I've seen inside, and they used to have obviously the original, that was the Celius films, and that was just standard picture. And then from there it's digital. But The digital ones I think are in 1080p, is it? And then there's one that I went to in Edinburgh, that you're sitting in the cinema, and it's Screen X. I think it's super. That might be a 4K one. And then you've got another one that's got a 360 degree. Well, no 360 degree, but the sides, the actual cinema walls. So you get the main screen, then you get the walls at each side, and the walls are part of the screen. So basically, it makes the picture much. It's not 360, because that'd have to be right on. It's 270 degrees or something. I think that was super screen, something like that anyway. But the televisions, you see the price of them, the ones that are in Curry's or the PC World, you're talking grand, thousands and thousands of pounds. And well, okay, I looked at them. Don't get me wrong, the screen is amazing. Oh, I mean, I'll tell you, they're massive, and the picture quality is just, it's like you could just walk into it. It's, oh, aye. I mean, if you're loaded, aye, sure. But the other thing as well, Truman, the 80s, oh, there we go. I'm getting, I was just about to say the 80s films, if it was shot in VHS, I don't know, how do they make it high quality? Unless they just been heightening up the views. Oh, that's great, the charts have gone off. Brilliant. I was just going to wait to read your, oh, here we go, back on, I'm way behind. Where am I? Oh, lost where I am. Oh, Jimbo's. I think it changed over there. Oh, is that the McDonald's? Yeah, Jimbo, the McDonald's, the signs have actually always apparently been McDonald's. I've looked back records. The Mandela effect is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. It's like, you see, it's hard to explain. It's easier if you just go online and find out. But it's like history has changed. It's like always been McDonald's. You can look back any record and you'll find that it's McDonald's. But there's lots of memories of it being McDonald's. You can go online and find examples of that. And then a prime example, because I remember firsthand, it was McDonald's. And there's such a term called McDonald's Mandela effect residue, which means if you come across any history of it being McDonald's, that would be regarded as Mandela effect residue. Now, I'll maybe go to that later. There was another thing I was going to wait. So yeah, it changed. Yeah, but it's changed Mandela effect style, which means it's the history is actually changed. In other words, you could go back to history, look back old pictures, and you'll see that it's changed on there as well to McDonald's, where it used to be McDonald's, hence the name Big Mac, which is partly, you could say, Mandela effect residue. Oh, Mandela effect is a very interesting. I remember the Moonraker movie where they get all races. Yes, that's it. Truman, yep, you know what I mean. You know what I mean now when I mentioned the Mandela effect. I remember the girl had braces, but she doesn't. I thought that was, yes, that's right. There's a lot of Mandela effects that I could relate to. There's some that I can't. There's like, in other words, when I can't relate to them, there's somewhere I wouldn't know either way. The one with the Moonraker film, Dolly having braces, it rings a bell, quite a loud bell in my memory, that she had braces. It would make sense as well, because Jaws, Richard Keel, he was about 8 foot or something, was he? He was obviously, that was the main. He's huge, and he had the gold tooth, and he had a gold tooth, and because he had something to do with teeth, Dolly had the braces that matched. That's a Mandela effect. It's a well-known one online anyway. But I remember that definitely was a big, rings a loud bell in my memory. There's lots of examples. I've got a list as long as this car. I've got many that I could relate to, and personal ones as well. But it is very bizarre. In fact, I've met up with 2 channels, and just very recent, channels that are really into doing deep research regarding the Mandela effect, and very well, come across as very well, and they've told me how well educated they are, and so they know they come across very well, and they know what they're talking about. They go in very deep and do the research, deep research. I've met two of the channels personally, and just recently, very recently, I was speaking to, I met the channel, speaking for about 5 hours, and this person is, he's older than me, and he's very well, you know, he's showed me, he's told me how much he's done and how much studying that he's done, the degrees that he's got. He's told me that he's, and he comes across very well, you know, as you would expect from someone that's so well educated, and they go in deep with the Mandela effect, and I've met them personally. And if you ever to go online and type the Mandela effect, and I'll guarantee you'll come up with a list. I mean, I always just have to say this, that things online are one thing, the reality that you're actually in firsthand is another thing. So you see what you're seeing firsthand, that's one thing. But if you're seeing or getting information from online, that's another thing. That's second-hand information. And even this video is second-hand information because, as I've mentioned before, it's really only just an artificial image and voice and sound and everything else. It's artificial. It's getting the brain entrained with artificial devices to take the reality from the device as being a real life reality. So this live stream is actually just artificial. It's not the real thing. And that's how you watch television, it's a way of hypnotising or training the brain to accept artificial pictures and sound and light and sound to be the reality. But yeah, the Mandela effect's absolutely amazing, and a wee bit and a bit behind on the chats. Where have I lost where I was on it? Jimbo's. I don't know. I think Jimbo's was the last one I saw. No, yeah, was it Mandela effect? I got Friday the 13th, 8 movies on Blu-ray, and got The Nightmare on Elm Street collection on DVD. You got it the day? Yeah. Oh, the Blu-ray. That's, I don't have it on Blu-ray, but I've got the DVDs. I used to go to the phone see McDonald's in the 90s. Not been in years. Good memories from the McDonald's in the. Well, that McDonald's, the one in Reform Street. It's like, in my opinion, it used to be better than what it is now. See now, you go in, it's just the upstairs. They close that off after 6 o'clock at night. So downstairs is absolutely mobbed. And you virtually get nowhere to sit. And when you do if you get a place to sit, the area is not the cleanest. If you're wanting to get peace and quiet, forget it, because you won't get it. You will not get peace and quiet. And from my experience, I've went in there wanting peace and quiet to have my tea when I'm on my break from driving the bus. I go in there, I sit down, hoping to get, and I know now I'm wasting my time, because let's just say you get lots and lots of youngsters in there. It's not like the way, it's not like the experience of going in the McDonald's back in the 80s and 90s. Back then it was more of a novelty, you know. It was actually more enjoyable. The whole restaurant was kept clean. It was more civilised, shall I put it? I'll put it like that. I could go in there, enjoy me, but very seldom I would come out dissatisfied. Lately, I mean, you know, you're cold, but you can see the burger advertised as one thing. When you get it, it's different. It's never what it's like when it's advertised. You want a hot meal, sometimes it's cold and you've got to go back down, and you know what it's like, you have to queue up. But I know I'm just ranting. But it's not as good as it used to be, in my opinion. So if I say you're missing, I wouldn't say you're missing much. You know, this McDonald's, the more modern McDonald's, the drive-throughs. I mean, I was getting this coffee, but I was quicker just going in and get it. That reminded me as well, actually, yesterday, the day before yesterday, I'm losing track of the days. There was a McDonald's in the, yeah, that's right. I went into a McDonald's. It wasn't the one in Dundee. It was actually in Dunfermline, and I couldn't even go to the till and order up. I had to go on the screen. I had no option. They didn't do the old traditional way. The old traditional way is that you went in to the counter, you queued up, you spoke to them, you say what you were ordering, they would hand over money, they would give you change, and then you'd just wait. And then they would shout out Big Mac Meal or whatever it was. Now they've got this order number, but okay, I could get used to the order number thing and that. But the one I was at Dunfermline, one of the ones anyway that I went to, you can't even do that. You've got no choice but to go to the touch screens and order up that way. And they did take the cash, but I thought I was expecting, because there has been places I've went to before that won't even take cash. So if you don't have a card or an app on your phone, you're absolutely going to be no getting your meal. You'll not be able to pay for it like the way you used to. I hate the thought of that. I like the traditional way where you go in and just hand over the money like you used to always do. Simple, how it used to be. But I can see it going that way. The drive-through's more a novelty because the queue was bigger for the drive-through than it was actually just going. I went in there, walked in, ordered up traditionally, got my coffee in about 2 minutes and back out and do my life. If I were to go to the drive-through there, the queue was way back. You know what I mean? But the Reform Street one, I remember when it first opened back in 1986, I thought it was 1986 anyway. I was, it felt really like a special note. I was only 11, mind you. But I was, I never forget the day. I think it was a quarter pounder. I still remember the enjoyment of that, But now you can never replicate that. Very seldom could you get that. It's just, and just looking through the charts, because I kind of Friday 30th part 8. See the arcade, yeah, that's right. It's Heinz, isn't it? Well, my other mate, he's really into computer games, and he used to go in there. I went in with him. I just watched him play the games. I never really got into games like the way he does, But I went in because before I went to the swimming, we would go in there. But I remember that arcade. It closed down years ago. It was shut for many years. I think they've opened it back up again. But it's be different. I've not been in it since. Yeah, it was right next to the arcade. Aye. I think so. It all depends on the TV. Yeah, but it is. Exactly, it depends on the TV. So you could have the 4K box set online streaming, or you could have the Blu-ray DVD. You could have that, but if your TV's not up to that level, then it's not going to make any difference. It'll still be just the maximum level of your TV. So it's not money well spent. So you've got to upgrade the TV, and then next the sound will be, where it's going, of course. It's to get people to part with their money, because if everybody was content with the old technology, then they wouldn't be able to push the new technology. So they've got to inspire you with this to get you to spend a fortune. I mean, you've seen the prices of the TVs in there, in that Curry's, that PC, the big ones. You're talking thousands of pounds. I mean, jeez, I cannot afford that. I'm stuck with my TV. I mean, as long as it's a good quality, I could see, and I'm quite happy with it. 4K is 4 times higher resolution, 4 times than 1080p. Christ, I thought 1080p was good. 4 times, wow. Yeah, it's obviously a novelty for me. Don't get me wrong, if I won the lottery, I'd get the 4K, and it'd be amazing. But it's just the cost. It'd probably cost more than this blooming car. I think they'll bring it out in 8K, etc. Do you know that? If you don't bother at this point, too expensive. Yeah, it'll be very expensive. 8K. Jeez, it's just silly. How much more could they get it? Somebody's racing up that road there. But how much better could they get it? I reckon, though, personally, I think they've got all the technology there, and they're just sending it all in dribs and drabs. So people will spend a fortune getting the latest technology, and about 2 weeks later, there'll be the next lot, and then everybody will be wanting that. They'll spend an absolute fortune again to get the latest, and then the next latest will come out the following week or something, you know what I mean? It'll just go on, and they're making an absolute fortune because people will be spending a fortune to get the latest technology. But the film and the storyline's the same. I mean, I just watched the film for the storyline. As long as it's shit the way it was originally intended, which is when it came out in the 80s, the VHS quality was fine. Okay, DVD's better for the for the loading up times. There's less risk of it chewing up and all that kind of stuff. But now DVD players are 10 a penny compared to what they used to be. You pick one up for a relatively cheap price and you can still watch the film. What the heck? Well, somebody bumped into, not my car, I thought further down there I heard a bang. I think that car had hit that bin or something. Not my business. I mean, I don't want to sound callous, but as long as nobody's hurt. It sounded like it. Yep. So I'm not making that live, obviously. It's not to be shown. I just hope that didn't come through because I'm not showing anybody's misfortunes on my videos. My videos are not about that. So I can recognise the sound of a car crashing because I've beat the banger racing so many times. I know exactly what it sounds like, and that was a bump. It's not serious, but I don't show anybody's misfortunes on my videos, so I only show my own misfortune. And I think I was going to wait to have a misfortune and drop this thing because when I started bugging around with the settings, it took me ages to get this one up, and then I'm going to wait to start messing about and probably end up wrecking it live. And had it all adjusted up, and it was, I think that's fine now. I'm not showing that. Oh, they've moved it anyway. I think it was just a wee prank, so it wasn't anything major, but I'll just keep it out of view. I know. So I got interrupted. Where am I now? I'm just going back on the chats. Yeah, 1080 is high def. Yeah, that's what I thought. 1080p. That's what this phone is, and the other device that I use for recording. I think it's capable of, the movie app's capable of processing 4K movies, but the thing is, if your phone's only capable of recording it in 1080p, then there wouldn't be any point in processing it in 4K because it's not going. The device that's being played back on won't be up to the that level, you know. 4K is ultra high definition. Yeah, you can get rid of. You can get a 4K UHD TV for $350. Yeah, you get it for $350. That'll be second hand, will it? You don't get that brand new, surely no. Is that brand new? You'll get a $350, a 4K TV brand new. But then, how long is it going to last? If it's, I mean, it's a lot of money. Like, anyway, to be honest with you, I'm quite happy with what I've got, and not really. I don't have the money for it, but that's more aimed for the modern films, like I was saying earlier. See, the modern films are more for that kind of 4D. That's what they're preparing for. High action films, you know, with the CGI, and the modern films and sort of aimed for that kind of stuff. And the modern films, in my opinion, are just not my cup of tea at all. The majority of them are just, I can't get into them. It's too fast paced, too much CGI. I like proper people doing stunts, like what you've seen in classic films like the car chases from the 70s and 80s, Smokey and the Bandit, Convoy, Duel, which is 1971, Steven Spielberg's first film that he directed, starring David Mann, and Carrie Lofton was a truck driver. 1971 film Duel, that was a great film. See, that was one of my favourites. And there was real stunts with real people and real acting. There wasn't any CGI in it. I don't like CGI. It's fake. I don't like it. I just don't get into it. And the modern films have got far too much of it. It's just ridiculous. And there's too many storylines in them. It's just, you know, the films just leave me miles back and I don't enjoy them. But the high def stuff, all the, you know, this 8K and Christ knows how else is going to go, that's what they're built for. They're just preparing for the all these films that I'm not really interested in. So it would be money wasted, in my opinion, because I don't get into many of these modern films. I like the old classic films. In fact, most of the box sets and DVDs I've got are from the 70s and 80s. Professionals, Minder, Equalizer, all these things from the early days. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is still some handful of good films that are still made, but most of them are set back in the time anyway. Yeah, I went in a few years back and felt what was it? Aye, you've been in, yeah. See that Taco Bell's next door? It's, again, if you're hungry and you go to Taco Bell's, right, you're going to come out, in my experience anyway, feeling like you could probably eat. You could still eat after it, you know, you could probably go back in and have another meal, and, you know, it doesn't really fill me up, but then I know exactly, I like eating, so yeah, I'll take quite a bit to fill me up, but it's not really, it's a light food. It's not, it tastes alright, but it's a bit messy. And the one in the Reform Street's tiny. You're lucky to get a seat. Well, you sometimes do get a seat, but it's a small, very small. It's okay. I've done a video, I actually done a few video reviews on Taco Bell's, is one of them, and there was a Turkish restaurant just up on Reform Street on the left next to the GKD kebabs. That's shut down now. I think it might be getting refurbished. Oh, I don't think it is. I just feel as though it's shut down permanently. Pardon me. Yeah, I went to lunch breaks. I still need to try the old team. The old team. The old tram. Yeah, the old tram. That's right. It's the green. It's been a while. You know, I used to go there now and again when I was working regular shifts on the buses, but I work late shifts all the time now. I work, you know, so I have my lunch before I start my shift, and by the time I get my break, that tram is closed, but it's too late for it. But the last time I was there, I never really got much, so it was just a coffee and that. It was alright, like, yeah. It's more a novelty. It's, you know, you could get food from something that looks smart, or you could get the same food from somewhere that looks sort of more mundane. It's still the food was alright. Yeah, it's quite alright, but I've not been there for years. Yeah, like the time I got cheeseburger. Never got the burger. What? Oh, Kevin, reading your thing. Like the time you got a cheeseburger. I never got the burger. I was not happy. No. That's just what. No, Kev, I just reading your. You didn't get the burger, so you I'll have to skip that. Oh, pardon me. No, well, I'm not drinking that. I know. I have to be alive to that. Why'd you have to put that on there? No, sorry. My kid come out of the way. No, I just like the time you got a cheeseburger, mate. Never got the burger. I've not had that one yet. I was not happy. No, I wouldn't be happy either. No, I get what you mean. That's funny. I'll have to stop reading that one. Just before my time, I was born in 87. Yeah, Truman, yeah. 1987, yeah. Sorry, I was laughing at that. The Kev people, it's just hilarious. But yeah, 1987, that was, I think, McDonald's. I'm sure it was 1986, the McDonald's opened down the Farm Street. Yeah, I think it was 1986. I went into playing the Street Fighter. I went in. Oh, playing the Street Fighter, yeah, the arcade. I remember Brett playing it a lot as well. You know, you can only take so much information. Yeah, exactly, Kevin. That's exactly. Your eyes could only take in so much information. That's right. The TV that works, well, the old ones, the cathode ray tube. It was lines, frames. So it was. Oh gosh, 625 frames per second, I think it was. So, it's basically just photographs that are moving, frames of photographs. So when you're recording something, it's taking photographs at a frequency of hertz, 625 frames, I think, the cathode ray tubes. So you imagine if you look at photographs moving, or if the photograph's coming up and it's captured an image, and it's changing, that will appear to be like a motion. So if you're recording something, your device is photographing it thousands of times, whatever per second, hundreds of times or thousands of times per second, and that is recording and played back as it's just going through like as a photo slide, but at a fast pace. So of course, it's like these things you used to get in the 80s. You look through them and you turn the handle and the picture is moving. It appears to be moving, but when you're turning the handle, it's actually moving a series of photographs. I can't remember what they're called, but I remember having one. It was like binoculars, and you turn it and you seen this moving cartoon-like picture in it. Can't remember what it's called, but it's sort of like that and trying to explain it. But the electronic devices does it thousands of times a second. But your eye is being, and it's your brain. I think the light going in. Oh gosh, the brain, the lens, your brain turns the image upside down. Oh God knows, but it's, oh Jesus, don't even know. It's something to do with how the brain and the light going in. The brain's got to process a still, but it's fooling the brain into thinking that it's moving. The image is moving, but the image is actually a photo. It's a still photo, but it's just thousands of times a second, giving the illusion of movement. So when you watch a film or something on a device, it's just artificially, your brain's being trained into thinking that it's coming across as motion. So you can have the TVs up to all these ridiculously high definitions, but I think personally, ultimately, I think that the way to do it is to get, if you're filming something, I think you want to have it where you actually wouldn't be able to tell the difference between looking at something with your eyes firsthand and looking at the screen. That's what I think they should aim it for. So if you see something outside, if you look at a building firsthand, right, and you're just looking at it and looking around it, right, you'll see it that way. I think they should get it where they could replicate it identical. So if you were to, in a simulator, if you're in a simulator and you think it's got to be as good as to make you actually believe you're in the real deal, you're in the real area. It's got to be that quality. I think that's what they need to, well, I believe they've got it anyway. I believe we're in a simulator reality anyway. I think it's sort of like, I've heard many theories of it, that we're actually living in a simulator anyway. The Mandela effect and that, there's glitches in it, and a lot of it comes to that Matrix movie. It's another good example of the simulation, living in a simulator. But that's theories. But I know for a fact what I've experienced, and I know that things have changed, and how it's changed in the way that's referred to online as the Mandela effect. But yeah, I reckon ultimately that's what they need to do. So if you're recording sound and recording images, it has to be to the level of quality where one couldn't tell the difference between actually being there or seeing it on a screen and hearing. So there's got to replay how it would be identical. So one wouldn't know whether they were there or watching artificially. That would be the highest quality that, well, how it actually is. The only other way is fake it. So if a building looks like, if it looks grey and whatever, if it's a dull day and it's looking terrible, the building, they could fake it, which they do anyway. I believe a lot of things have been faked anyway. A lot of things that may have an influence on how people perceive the world, But I won't go in, deep fakes, stuff like that. It's scary because you don't know what's real and what isn't. It's deception. So it's got to be responsible, what's the angle of it? I mean, the simulation is one thing. I mean, how do you know the difference if it's that good? How would you know if you were living reality or living in a simulator? The quality would have to be as good as that. I mean, why would they want it as good as that anyway? I mean, yeah, your eyes could only take in so much information. Well, the thing is, Kev, your eyes could take in information, but it'll take in all the information. Your eyes will take everything in, every single thing that it could see. But your brain will take it in as well. Your consciousness will process so much of it, but your subconscious will take it all in. That's why you have subliminal messaging, because your subconscious has got the information. Your eyes will take everything in, everything that you're looking at, and you could see, your eyes will take in. Your brain's subconscious will store it, will take it in as well, but your consciousness will process it, will only process so much. It's like looking at a still. Even the speed of the picture flickering at how many hertz, I don't know, that was old TVs, old cathode tubes, but the modern ones, the LCD ones and plasma ones and all that stuff work on a different principle. It's it's still pictures that are a series of pictures. They're recording, even the devices, your digital cameras and that, take a series of digital pictures at thousands of times per second and replays it back. But your subconscious will pick the flickering up because your brain won't decipher it, but your subconscious will pick and hear and sense everything that's going on. But your conscious can only process so much. That's why subliminal messaging, it's like you don't consciously see information, but your subconscious will see it. And so you think advertisement is an example. They used to do it I've heard and read and seen and watched stuff about things like that from what allegedly happened in the 60s when the television was in its infancy, in its early stages. They would put subliminal messaging between the frames of the pictures and the subconscious. Like if they wanted to advertise something, they advertised it subliminally. So people were in a way hypnotized. So they would suddenly have the urge to go to this place that was advertised. They wouldn't consciously know why, but their brain would have that information in it through the subliminal messaging. So then they started advertising, but they say it was banned and they stopped doing it. They say they stopped. They say they done it, and then they say they stopped doing it. But did they? Have they actually stopped? I mean, okay, they may have stopped doing it that way, but what else is going on? These LED lights and everything. But I know I don't want to come off too much at a tangent, but there's tons of stuff online about it. Can't answer that. I can't answer that. I'm not live. D-chip, flat earth. Yeah, well, the thing is, the way I see it is, well, the way I'll say about it is that how could you prove either way if the earth's a ball or a flat if you haven't been up into what we're told is space? How do you know firsthand? Unless you've been there, how do you know? You're only going on what you're taught and what you're told and what you believe, most importantly, what you believe. And that goes as far as seeing as believing as well. It goes on your belief. I've seen lots of theories about the flat earth, a lot of convincing theories, but at the same time I've seen lots of convincing theories about the earth being a ball, a globe. it's what you choose to believe, unless you've been there first hand up there. And I mean, I definitely feel as that the earth is not all that we've been taught it is. I feel there's a lot more than what we've been taught through the mainstream teaching methods and media and all the rest of it. I feel there's a lot more to it than that, because I've experienced the Mandela effect for real, and lots of other strange phenomena for real, personally, which were told to me that doesn't exist and impossible through the lots of mainstream versions. So lots of the same say that they live on a globe. So personally, I don't know if the earth's flat, square, round, whatever, donut shape, if we're even on an earth, if it's no simulator. I've heard lots of theories. Can't say either way because I haven't seen firsthand. There's tons of stuff online suggesting it's what you believe. It's what you believe. Personally, I think there's a lot more to what we're told about Earth than what, a lot more to it than what I've been told anyway. Let's put it like that. What I've been told. But flat Earth, certainly, it's interesting. Yes. Hi, hello, Zach. Anyway, hi. Glad to see you on here. Welcome to join in. Anybody's welcome to join. Agreed, the thing was all practical effects and old school. Yeah, that's it, the old school. I'm old school all the way and stuff nowadays does not interest me. Yep, shame the heroes of the past are going. Yeah, I know, that is a shame. You don't see, I liked a lot of the old Clint Eastwood films. Bruce Willis, he's not really, from what I've heard, I've heard stuff regarding Bruce Willis that's sad news. His health isn't good. I've heard that. It's a shame. There's lots of old actors and films that I liked. I liked old Western films as well, the ones with Clint Eastwood in it, and Charles Bronson, and the Dirty Harry movies. The Friday the 13th, original Friday the 13th, and that sort of stuff. Stuff I grew up with, basically. Right, Kevin. Speaking of nostalgia, anybody remember and miss the pirate ships in Camperdown Park? Oh, yeah. I'm still not over that. Zap Zone, yeah. That's right. The Camperdown used to have a zip slide and all these ships. Yeah, I remember that. It's changed now. The Zap Zone, that was opened in 1992. That's actually where the Home Bargain was lately. But that Home Bargain, I had a Home Bargain at the Start Leisure, but the old Audience Cinema, that was derelict for 20 odd years. Then they demolished it to build another Home Bargain. So I don't know what they're doing with the old Zap Zone building now. It's split into two. The other half's it's not the Range, it's something else, Aldi or something. It used to be Garfunkel's, was it, or Fatty Arbuckle's, maybe, something like that. It's a restaurant anyway. But there isn't really much. It's more a retail part now. I mean, you've got the Range, you've got the Home Bargains, you've got an Aldi. There is a gym and then there's a toy shop as well. But it's not really like a leisure park. It's not a Start Leisure Park. It's a Start Retail Park. The only leisure thing, I suppose, is the gym. But there's no any like gaming stuff or anything like that. When it first opened in the 90s, it was had the Zap Zone. I remember going there in 1992 with the Tayside training services. I remember that, and I've been there again over the years to play pool and snooker, because that was at the further along a bit, and then a restaurant a bit as well. There was something else here. There was like it was like a nightclub. I never went to that nightclubs and that. But it was more. There was the bingo's still there. Well, I suppose that's leisure, isn't it? I haven't been to that bingo. But yeah, no, it's more a retail part now. If the earth was flat, it makes you wonder why they'd be desperately to hide it and show us all the ball images from childhood. It's a bit like Moonlanders, etc. As well as reality is bizarre. Yeah, I know. Well, Truman, when I was speaking to the other channel that's regarding the Mandela effect, there's a lot of things, we discussed lots of stuff, but you see the way that the system that we're living, it's to keep the status quo, isn't it? I mean, let's say, for example, lots of rich and powerful. I mean, the status quo, if things change, is that going to threaten their way of life? If rich and powerful and in control, is there, and as it is with the status quo the way it is, we've got poverty. You just walk through the streets, and how far could you get from one part of the street to the other part without being asked beggars, but being asked from beggars for money? If you were to do that, you'd probably be out of pocket by the time you got there, because there's that many of them. So all this is going on. There's poverty, the job. You just look at the state of the way things are. I mean, is it really fair? I mean, you work so hard to get paid peanuts, the conditions, and all the rest of it. There's all these. You hear about billionaires and all the powerful. So the status quo, the way things are, right? To keep things like that, if that were to change, how about the security for those that are in the, if the rich and poor, it's going to threaten their way, isn't it? Wouldn't it? If they're rich and powerful, wouldn't it be in their best interest to have the status quo kept the way it is, and to keep things the way they are? They teach us from an early age the best, the prime years, where it gets right into your psyche and DNA. Every time you get thirsty, you take for granted you just go to the tap and drink from it. You don't even question what you're drinking. You go to the shop, you just buy food and you just eat it. You don't. Do you question it? Do you actually examine it? And how do you examine it? And what do you do with the results? You put your faith in the system, and that's what we've been kind of doing since we were born, isn't it? Wouldn't that be, if we were changing how we were taught about reality, then wouldn't that have a security? Wouldn't that change the status quo that would affect those being the desire to be rich and powerful? Are they going to feel so comfortable if things start changing? Would it be in their interest to keep things the way they are? Teach us about reality the way they've been taught? Basically, we try and get by without the system. I mean, how hard would it be to live off grid? Really? Could you do it? And even if you did, the history that we're taught, I mean, let's just say we just believe it. Unless you were there, you're only believing what you're taught. And if we wanted to change, if you went on land and said, right, I'm going to live off grid, and they teach history, then it could be possible that they could just write history and say, oh, by the way, we own this land, you could just get off that land, and you could never live off grid, and you'd have to depend on the system. If history is just written to suit the status quo, to keep us in the situation that we're in, because if things change, I mean, I don't really think that being rich and powerful's the way. I don't believe that I would really want that. But I wouldn't want to be in control of anybody's lives, and why should I? So if we get taught about reality, or we get taught about their version of reality, wouldn't that be to suit their interests rather than ours? I mean, we're just how about like slaves? Slaves come to mind. Just work your nuts off and get paid peanuts to keep the businesses the way they just work hard for the business, and then what happens after if it gets squeezed by another business? Business is only interested in making money. They really, if you're super rich and powerful, I'm not naming anything, but I'm not getting into that. I've got my own personal views on it, but I don't think it'd be let's just say if the status quo, if we knew about our own full potential, if we found out we couldn't that we could get by without depending on the system, where would that leave all these businesses that are getting rich and crazily rich and just laughing, burning money and just getting us, or a lot of people, to, think that they're rich and powerful, great and famous, and laughing in our faces at the jokes on us kind of thing, we're being stood on, and corruption just comes to mind, and all that. I can't say I'm not naming anybody, like, principles are there. I mean, you didn't they? Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we changed it to a fair world, is it really fair? Is it really? I mean, just, I don't want to go on about that, but with the flat earth, if it makes you wonder why they would keep it desperately. Well, I mean, the flat earth, I don't know. I mean, they would have their reasons. It's like many reasons there's a reason for everything. Let's put it like that. So if they tell us that we've become dependent on like the way the climate, for example, and start to get people having a perception of the way things are, it may work in their interest to have us, if people are scared, they're easier to, if they're looking for answers and looking for ways to survive, because ultimately it comes down to survival, doesn't it? And then you got all the climate stuff. So they teach you one thing about the way, they teach you a way of perceiving what the world's like. And at least one thing leads to another. And people have this perception of the way the planet is. So if that changes, that's going to have a knock-on effect, obviously. So, and if there's a knock-on effect, wouldn't that make a waves for those that are way up, that are in control? I mean, I think it would be in their interests if they're up there, living like that. Would they really feel comfortable about that way of life being changed by the change of the status quo? It's going to upset it. So I don't think they would risk it, would they? So they tell us and have us teach for generations away things the way they want us to believe, because we get our information from the system when we get taught, from like systems, the schools and stuff that are in the system, and colleges, etc., and books and textbooks, and it's all second-hand information. It's what you choose to believe. Moon landings as well. I mean, that's fascinating. All the theories about it. I'm no expert, and like you said, I'm not going to comment too much unless I see it for myself. Yeah. Wait, are there two home bargains there now? Yes, they're nuts. I don't go to Lockheed, I try to avoid it. Good to hear Mr. Fatty Abercows, and the audience was nice. Yeah, the audience, I done a video just before it was demolished. I got a last look inside it. It's on my channel. I've been to the cinema there as well when it was open. God, that's an hour and 20 minutes. I can't believe I've been on this long. Yeah, there's the two home bargains. As soon as they opened the new home bargain, they closed the other one down. So there is actually only one now. But there was a home bargains there already, where the Zapp's one was. But they decided that they wanted to demolish the old cinema to build another home bargains. So when this new home bargains was built, the day that opened was the day that the other one closed. I mean, it's not like Dundee hasn't got a home bargains already. I mean, why? But anyway. And the building that they've built it, like, doesn't look like the theme of the original buildings. The original buildings, hence the name, the Stark Leisure Park, was the theme of the buildings, the brickwork, has a resemblance to the Cox's Stark chimney that's there. But this new home bargains, I don't think it does really have that same amount of, if any. It certainly doesn't have any of the patterns on it like the old Orion does. So at least they could have converted the cinema into home bargains and kept the original exterior to resemble what it used to be about the Stark Park, Stark Leisure. It was about the chimney, for goodness. But listen, it doesn't look anything like it. They knocked the old building down to build another home bargains that they already had. And Dundee has got more than one. It's got a few home bargains. Why do they need to spend all that money demolishing an old building to build a new building for a home bargains, and they've already got a home bargains here, and Dundee has got loads of home bargains already? Why? And spent all that money. Why? Anyway, that's just my opinion. I just don't get it either. That Tesco was decent back in the day. Yeah, that Tesco's, that's right. So it's a range now. That's an old mill, old mills. The whole buildings were part of the mills that were there. The Lochie. Oh, God, there was a railway as well that ran from the Burns houses, and it passed the mills. I think it went into the mills works, because in the 18th century that railway was built to supply the mills with all the material and the workers as well. And I think that railway then joined up to the railway that ran from Lochie, where the Burns house is, to Newtile. One of the mills are still, well, a lot of the mills have been renovated into flats. That Tesco's was one of the old original buildings, which is now arranged now. But at 90 degrees to that, you've got the other ones that run across, they were all buildings with that tower on it. And then there's along a bit, I can't remember the name of that lane, you could see the old bridge that the railway was on. I've done a video on that. And there's an old mill that's still derelict as well. I'd love to get in it, but that'd be great. It'd be a great adventure to get in that one. I'd love to get in it, but what else I'd love to do, get in the old tunnels. But if I were to go in the old tunnels, I certainly would not be doing that on my own. I would go in with an expert that knows exactly what and where they're going and what they're doing. When I do adventures in some of the old buildings, I occasionally go on my own, but normally going with a couple of my other mates, or at least one other person anyway. But we're no experts. But when I go in a building, because I've done it for years, even when I was a kid, I used to go to old buildings, particularly the old Scarn blocks in Whitfield. I used to do that on my own, and my mates as I used to go in. And, you know, I grew up in that kind of era where you would go into old buildings and climb on roofs and that. So I kind of got an idea what I'm doing. But when it comes to tunnels underground, I would never go in one of these tunnels on my own. But I would love to adventure under the tunnels running under the Law Hill. And from the Ward Road, it's BT House or something, there's a tunnel, I think, from there that runs out towards the Law Hill area. But I should say Dundee Law, because law means hell in the old language. I try and correct myself every time I say that, but it's Dundee Law. Yeah, I would love to go and adventure that with an expert that knows exactly what they're doing and has got my health and best interest at in their interest to keep me safe and get me back out in one piece without getting lost. Then I would go in. I wouldn't go in with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. I'd go in with somebody that knows what they're doing and has my safe best interest in their interests, obviously as well as their own, so I could go in there, enjoy the exploration and get out in one piece without getting lost or scared to death, because you wouldn't mess around in the places, in the tunnels or anything. Just jumped on now. Oh, this is deep. Catch me up. Oh, darn. Hi, Dan. You just came on, but I've been on for so long and just about to end the stream. Yeah, I was on about quite a few things on this stream, on this live stream. I was talking about things from the cinema, the film that I watched just an hour and a half ago, to the Mandela effect phenomena, to explorations into buildings. It's mainly just about stuff on my channel, videos that I put up and stuff that I'm planning on doing in the future. I haven't done a live for a while, and sorry you jumped on so late, Dan Campbell, because I'm going away to end this live and quite tired now, and can't believe that's the time. I can't believe I've been on this long. The time just flies. Most of my time is in work. And then, yeah, exactly. See, retirement, that's another thing. I try and do as much as I can when I've got my health. I know that the system want you to work very hard all through your prime life, when you're at your healthiest. Work hard for the system, just like a slave, work for peanuts. And then when you get old, for the so-called dream that you're looking forward to, you're too old, you either never see it because your health, you're not up for it, or you don't even reach that age. But you work all your prime years working for a system. So I try my best to do as much as I can whilst I'm working, while I've got my private. I don't think as far as retirement. I don't think as far as that, because the world might not even be there then. But the system seemed to promote the idea of constantly thinking about your future and retirement, and constantly keep you in that way of frame of mind that you can't enjoy now. It's always plan ahead, always think of the future, never enjoy the moment. No, I'm trying to get out of that habit and try and enjoy the present. Thank you very much. I'd rather live the present whilst I can, because at the moment I've got all my 5 senses, I've got all my limbs. Anything could happen between now and then, you know. So in my view, I would try and do as much as I can whilst I'm in a job, I've got the money to do it, whilst there is a world, and whilst I'm in my health. And I just got to do the best I can at the same time when I'm being a slave for the system, to keep the businesses rich and powerful, and the workers working hard in conditions that those that make these conditions probably wouldn't be in a hurry to say that they would enjoy working in them, compared to the conditions that could be a lot better, much better, much better. But not just in my job, but just in general, I suppose. You know, you just look around, places closing down. You know, since I don't even mention that, but since March 2020, I mean, what's happened since then? You know, a lot of businesses and that, you know, and New World Order comes to mind. But no, I try and live the present and try and do all the ventures and everything I can while I'm still alive, and be down with the future. I'm not looking forward to the future. Who wants to look that far ahead? I've had a choice. If I had a choice to look to the future or look to the past, I'd go and look at the past. I wouldn't want to know what happened in the future. I would not want to know. I'd rather not know, and just I'd rather revisit things in the past and stuff. I wouldn't want to know. I know there's more to life anyway. I know that there's more, but no, I feel there is. I don't know as knowing, but I feel there's a lot more than just this realm of life anyway. But because we've always been around, I think, and feel and believe. I know that we've all been around. We're all one, and we always will be. You know, we've got the full potential to do whatever we want. But we believe if we've got to depend on the system and get by, then that's the reality that we are making for ourselves. And doing that, you know, it's almost like you could make reality the way you want it if you believe you can do it strongly enough. But as soon as you get thirsty or hungry, you think of the system. You think, first of all, the money to pay for it, and what shop am I going to go to, and what garbage am I going to be eating, full of whatever they put in that you believe is good for you, you know. But they tell you one thing, they tell you another. What are you eating? What exactly is it that's in all these things, you know? But if I knew just how much we could do everything we want, I suppose. Anyway, I'm going to have to go. The range has a stockroom with a secret door below. It's a bit creepy and no one wanted to go in. Makes you wonder why it's under the city and if it's still being used. Wow, now that's interesting. That. I agree about living in the present. Life is too short to worry. And time is going fast as well, by the way. Time's sped up by a factor of 2. I sound totally bonkers me saying that, but I've mentioned it way back. I've experienced it many years ago. I know that I'm older. I mean, okay, yeah, I know about the age, like 48 years or 48 of my life. I know all about that. When I was 10, years of 10% and all this. I've took that into account. But even taking that into account, I know that time is sped up by a factor of 2. It's doubled. It really has. Agree about living in the present. Life's too short. Yeah, a lot of my mates. Yeah, it's a shame and died. And they recently died. Yeah, it's sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's horrendous when you. It's a shame that. It's a shame. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go. I can't believe that's been an hour and a half. That actually only feels like 45 minutes that I've been on. An hour and a half, it's just crazy. I know that time's really genuinely sped up. Oh, tired now. More people join when I'm going to let it go. I noticed that this sickens. Yeah, they are going quicker, because you used to be able to say 1 elephant, 2 elephant, and you were able to say that in a second. You can't do that now. It just doesn't fit. It's not just that. I remember when I was up in a hotel back in 2019, it was actually the Dalwhinnie Hotel. I drove us up to the Dalwhinnie Hotel for a weekend, or a day trip I took. A few of us. I think my mate was there as well. He took up some others. There was quite a few of us. But I had my own, I always liked my own room. I had my own room, and I remember I woke up before I was, due for my alarm to go off. I went to the toilet and I couldn't get back to sleep. And I was listening to the clock ticking away. And I noticed, I mentioned this before, I noticed that the seconds were going much, much quicker. 2019, it was just like, that was, that event just made me, like, completely flipped. I know for a fact that time is sped up. Because I feel it. I know it. And the seconds that on that holiday, that weekend break, kind of like, you could say, confirmed it. And I would now go to say that it's as fast as double, a factor of 2. It's going twice as fast. This year's just flying, man. I mean, what is it, the 11th of February? It only feels like a couple of weeks back when I was sitting in my mate's house and hugged my knee. And this is like 11th of February already. No way is that how it used to be. Time has started speeding up within the last 10, 12 years anyway. It's gradually, but it's warped and it's got faster. When I say it's warped, I mean there's instances where because back, well, a few years back, I was on the Whitfield service, driving the Whitfield bus from the terminus in Summerfield, and at that time it was going through, well, I went in the back of Whitfield, but I went via Peebles Drive, and I always took about 3 minutes or something to get from the terminus to Peebles Drive, the same point, because I timed it. I picked nobody up, actually, because it was the same conditions, and for a lot of times it was that fixed amount of time, within reason, more or less, obviously junction, but I took all that into consideration. And in other times, under more or less exactly the same conditions, the time was just way off. It took a lot longer. And there was no reason, even though the variables were there's obviously variables, there's no two journeys identical 100%. I mean, 99.9% they are the same, yeah, but there's nothing's 100%. But taking that into consideration, the time difference was just way too much longer than it should have took. And the acceleration of the bus, all the rest of it, the conditions of the road were all, took all that, virtually the same. It did not account for the extra time. It was about 4 or 5, it was about 4 or something, 5 minutes later. It was just struck me as amazing anyway. I've done that journey many times. I know exactly what I mean. I know it. It's warped in that respect because that took way too long. But it didn't really feel that. Like, it just took longer. So it's a funny thing. I don't understand it. But I know that I feel as though it's definitely sped up. And I would say by at least a factor of 2. I can't get anything like as much done in a day as I was able to do before. It's not to do with me getting any slower. If anything, I've been getting faster. I've been working harder to try and get the same amount done, but I actually end up doing less in a day than I used to be able to do. So I know that it's sped up by at least a factor of 2. It really has. What's that? The second clip. Yeah, they are. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and make a new Mandela effect video if you get time. Yeah, if I could. Oh, thank you too many. Yeah, I'll try and get on to do another Mandela effect video. It's just getting the time. Yeah. Oh no, I always will be putting videos up. I will get around to it for sure. Full life. Many years ago, every knew it was unreal. The 90s felt slower. One day it would drag and you'd be waiting. Yeah. A day felt like a day back then. An hour felt like an hour, Now, a day feels like half a day, and not exaggerating, a day feels like half a day, an hour feels like half an hour. This stream is an hour and 40 minutes. Only feels like half that time. It doesn't feel as though I've been on an hour and 40 minutes. It doesn't work. I came in there, I thought I was only going to do half an hour, just to finish my coffee. An hour and 40 minutes? Nah. It's sped up by at least a factor of 2. Definitely has. Right, I'm going to have to go. Sorry. I said that for a while. I'm going to have to go. I was just wondering if you know what's happening with the Explore Dundee. Let's do 2413, as I seen it. 2413, yeah, that's the training bus. 2413 is a training, well, 2412, that's a Volvo B7 RLE, it's one of the earlier ones. And that's the actual main training bus. That's painted up in the green livery, the lighter green livery. That's well, the photos of the with all the photos on it, the drivers. But 2413 is the same model of bus, but that is also used for the training school. Occasionally, when they're so short of buses, they'll actually put that on service. That's the reason why it has been on, because I've just had to put it on, really. That's the same. That's an early Volvo B7 RLE. That's got the Volvo D7C engine in it. The same engines that are in the Geminis, the right Volvo B7 TL right Gemini buses. It's the same engine. The later Volvo B7 RLEs, like 2414 onwards, they've got the later engine in them. They've got a different engine. They're a later version of the Volvo B7 RLE, a Mark II, I suppose. It's got a different. It's still a 7-litre engine, but it's a different engine. It's a quieter engine, but it's a deeper engine, because the torque is, you're pulling away at torques below 1,000 RPM. Most cars idle faster than that, sitting at idling. These buses are pulling loads and developing massive amounts of torque at these speeds, these low engine RPMs. It's a very torquey engine in the later Volvo B7 RLEs. That's why the sound's deep. I quite like this big deep. It's like a truck, big heavy deep sound. But they sound even deeper lately because they changed the exhaust systems. I think that they were upgraded, and it's affected the note. It's made it even deeper, and I like that. So yeah, 2413, I believe. Well, I'm a long weekend, so I don't know what it is now. But if you saw it lately on service, and it's because they had to put it out, because I think that would be the only reason they had to put it all on service. But it's really the part of the training. You'll see it going about with the big L. If it's not got the L on it, it's got it on the destination. The other training bus is 2412. The buses used to be fleet numbered 1774 and 1775, I think. They were from Birmingham, but that was the original fleet number. But when McGill's brought us over, they changed all the fleet numbers to their own fleet numbers, their own version of fleet number. So it's now 2413. But it used to be, I think it was 1774. The other guy is, if he's on, well, but the other bus spotters will probably verify that. I'm sure it was 1774. When the buses first came up, there's about 15 of them that came up. That's only 2 that are left out of the Mark 1 Volvo B7 RLEs. When they first came up, I didn't like them because they had this door pedal that was in the wrong place, in my opinion. I didn't like that. They were a wee bit jerky, but later on they started, you get used to them, and then they were quite alright. But the later Volvo B7 RLEs are quite nippy. They're quite good. But they rattle a bit, and you'll hear that. If you're on them, you'll hear them rattling a lot. But other than that, they handle quite well. They are Volvo models after all. But it's a fair age now. They were 56 plates, so that's late 2006. So they're coming up for 18-year-old. So that's retired from service, really. The other B7 RLEs, the later ones, the Mark IIs, they're 2011. I remember them coming new. If you're ever on 2436, that used to be 2052. That's the last of the 61 plates. When that came new, I was the first person to take it out on service. I took it out on its maiden service, because when I took it from the garage at one, and I had virtually no miles on the odometer. So when I took it out on the Douglas all these years ago, back in December 2011, that was its very first maiden day on its service. So if you're on bus 2436, I took it on its maiden one. I remember that. You probably know, those that don't know me, that I'm a bus spotter as well. I like old buses, so in case you wonder why I went on, I like old buses. I like buses. I'm a bus spotter. Bus enthusiast is the fancy term. Bus enthusiast. Bus spotter is what it's really, What routes are you doing usually? I'm sure I've Yeah, you all saw me. I've been on the buses for coming up for 16 years. So 15 and a half. This August I started on them in 2008, so coming up for 16 years. But before I drove buses, I was interested in buses and since 1987. So I was 12 back then. I've been into buses since then. So yeah, you all saw me on the buses, but I've been driving the buses for the company since August. Well, I joined in August 2008. I was done the 3 weeks train. So yeah, September I was actually in service, driving them in service. So nearly 16 years. So yeah, you all saw me. I've been on all the routes. When I first started, for the first 4 years, I was on what they call lines. It was National Express that owned it at that time. And I was doing all the routes, but the majority of them kind of like favoured the St Mary's. I was on, for some reason, ended up on the St Mary's route, the 1A's and 1B's. And 1C's at that time as well. And they started messing about, making them ones. Then it went back to 1A, 1B, then it's not one. But St Mary's Road anyway, I was on that mainly. But I did do all the routes. Then I got a steady bus in the Whitfield, which was a good route. I would have chose that route anyway, for many reasons, for historical reasons. Because I lived at Cheviot Crescent since I was born till I was 5, which is right next door to Whitfield. And I remember the Whitfield buses when I was a kid back then. So I had a lot of nostalgia in that area, and I actually got that road, and I was on that road for 9 years. Although I mean, now and again I do other routes as well, obviously, but 90% of the time I was on the Whitfield. But now when McGill's bought over, just 3 and a bit year ago, just over 3 years ago, all changed. So now all the drivers are on every road, so you'll see me on all the roads. But I do permanent late, so it's kind of like a smaller rota, 4-day week. Although it's 5, I work the same hours. So instead of working 5 days, all 5 days work's compressed into 4 days. So it's a long day, but it's 4 days, it's a 4-day week, so you get 3 days off a week. Didn't that not crash? Oh, no, I know. So, Jim, 2413 you were asking about. That was the train bus. The one that crashed. Yeah, I know the one you mean. No, it wasn't 2413. Yeah, that was pretty horrendous. Like, there's pictures in the paper of that bus, and you could see the fleet number on, because it's already been published anyway. So it's 2434. You'll see it. You just go to Google and look at the pictures that's online already from the news, and you'll see the fleet number. It's 2434. But the driver's getting better, from what I heard. I can't say anything because it's a company thing. All the stuff you'll get on the news, just go to Google. It was obviously shocking, but you won't see that bus again. I can't really say, because it's things like that in the company, and an employee. I work with them, so I can't talk about company things. I can't go into it. I can only repeat what's online already from the news, because I work in the industry with them, and if I say something that's confidential, I get in trouble for it. So I can't really disclose anything at all about any accidents or anything like that. I know the driver is a friend, and I heard he's doing better now. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot worse. It was shocking when I heard about it. I was shocked, and so was lots of others. You won't see that bus again, I could say that. So that's all I'll say. That bus is, you'll never see it again. You won't see it on the road again. You'll see the mess of it. Anyway, you look at the photos in the news of that bus, you'll see that bus will never go again. Yeah, 2413, I don't know if that bus been in any crashes. That is the Mark 1 Volvo B7RLE that's a part of the training school buses. That used to be a service bus. But I'm not aware of that being in any crashes. I'm not aware of it being in any crashes. Is the bus driver is the bus driver a good pay? Just always, or the pay. If you're working, if you're in a job, you never say that you're happy with the pay. No, I mean the hours. I mean they're advertising it on the backs of the buses. The hours. It's the advert. See, in on the old contract, right? The new contract's £15 odd an hour. So there's jobs that pay a lot less than that. There's jobs that pay more, a lot more, but you get paid if you're on the new contract. Well, you'll have no choice but to be on the new contract as well, as I call it. But it'll be the McGill's contract, because if you're going to apply for a job with the buses with us, you're going to obviously be working for McGill's, and they pay. The advert on the back is it's £15 odd an hour. So I'm on the old contract because I started when it was National Express. So I'm a wee bit less than that. The old contracts are relevant though, because if you're starting on the buses, you'll start on the new contract. I can't remember the exact figure, but it's £15 odd an hour, and you just look at the backs of the buses, adverts on it. So that's what you get paid an hour, and the hours are about, you get a choice, I think. I'm on the 40-hour week, well 38 hours, but then you've got the greedy tax. Yeah, you pay taxes, so all that's taxed. You do overtime, you get. So it's not like if you do a day's ham, as they call it in the industry. I don't know why they call it that, but they call it a day's ham. Or if you do ham, overtime basically. So if you're working 10 hours, it's no 10 times 15. You'll not get 150 quid. You'll get ripped up. You'll be paying the bloody tax. Taking a nice, sizable, generous chunk off of that. But then you've got other things as well. You've got your national insurance, then you've got your whatever else, auxiliary things, your savings and whatever else, your pension or whatever, that you're going to be deducted off your, and the net pay you'll be left with. So if you want to drive with the buses, they're wanting drivers all the time, they're screaming it for them. So I can't even blooming holidays, because there's no enough drivers now. I can't say too much, but we're looking for drivers. I can tell you that. We're needing drivers. We're always needing drivers. We're always looking for them. So if you want a job on the buses, just get on the phone. If you've got, you obviously need to have. Well, there's a lot of things you need. Get up in the way. I'm kind of lucky because I was the last person in Scotland to pass on the old school training way of things, because I was on that day, the 9th of September 2008, was the last day that anybody that was driving on a bus service licence would do it on the old school way. From then on, it was CPC. That's a new one. That's what it's now. You need a CPC courses and all the rest of it. I can't. It's compulsory. Some fancy. It's just, you've got to do it anyway. But I was the last person in Scotland to pass on the old school. The guy I was training with, he failed. I passed, but he failed. So he was the first person in Scotland, or amongst one of the first people in Scotland to do it on the new CPC course. So that was a milestone, the day I passed, because that was the very last day for a bus driver anyway to do it on the old school. So on the old school, I didn't have to do the CPC, but the other colleague I was training with, he got through the second time, but he had to do all that CPC. So he was a month and a bit later in service than me. So he was amongst the first, if not the first person in Scotland to pass on the new school, which is what it is now. So if you want to become a bus driver, you need to do CPC, and then you've got to do the hazard perception, you need to do the theory, you need to do your medical, you need to do the practicals done through the company. There used to be a bond if if they were putting you through your test, you had to stay with the company for a year to repay that money back. I don't know what it is now. They'll tell you all that anyway if you apply. But at the time I applied, I think it was a year or something. You had to stay there a year, otherwise you'd be here to pay the training back. But you need the CPC. You need to do that. One of my mates is trying to get on the buses. You've got to do hazard perception, theory. It's a big theory. It's a lot harder now. It was quite hard when I done it, but I think it's even harder now. You know, with all these bloody new things that they're bringing out, these rules. Driving's driving. Why do they need all these extra rules? But you've got to know all this. All these other rules about driver hours. Oh, jeez. Driver hours. There's tons of stuff you need. A load of stuff that you need to go through that really, do you need to do all that? But be prepared anyway, you've got to do that. Then, of course, the real bit that counts, as far as I'm concerned, that's the practical. As far as I'm concerned, driving's about practice. The more you drive, the more practice you get, the better you become. And there's common sense, the rest of it is driving. All this theory, CPC, oh God, that's my opinion. But whether you like it or not, you've got to go through a whole load of stuff. And when you finally get through it, and you're like, well, then when you get your licence and you're driving, that's when you're learning. The day you get your test and get behind the wheel and you've passed your test, the day you've passed the test and you're actually in your shift, the day you do your first shift, that's when you're learning. You learn through experience through the years. There's no 2 days the same, and still learning it. I've been driven buses for, 16 years, but I've been driving cars since I got my licence in 1995, March the 1st. March the 1st, 1995, I passed first time. The reason I passed first time is because it was a lot easier back then, but I was really, really wanting to drive. And I got through the test, I got they done the driving bit, and then the examiner was sitting there and they just asked a few questions, and that was it. Passed, got my licence, and then I was driving. Then I was learning. I didn't put a learner badge on or anything like that, but you're learning when you start getting out on the road. You're learning, when you're being under instruction, but they call it driver under instruction. But work from home 4 days a week and 1 day in office. They call it hybrid working. Aye, but if I didn't have that, I'd do a driving job. Yeah, hybrid. See, this 2020, March 2020, that's when all this working from home really kicked off. March, I don't even like talking about it, but it just, pandemic. Why did I say the words? Not fair to anything. I've heard that term before. Pandemic. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it on here because I'm not going to get into it. I've got my views, but since then a lot of things have changed. New world order, working from home, cashless society. God, I was on about McDonald's, that one in Dunfermline. You can't even go in, hand over cash, and order up like you used to. You can order up and hand over cash and get your stuff. It's all digital. And that really kicked off since, March 2020. After then, you know what happened in March. Well, I'm not going to go on about it. I've got my views on it. But I can't really mention that on here, because I've got my views. But since then, a lot of things have changed that way. Working from home, we had people that work from home, but no. God, since then, it's just, even my mate, he's working from home as well. I wouldn't like to work from home. I would not. I wouldn't like to work from home. I'd rather be getting out of home and coming back to my house after my shift and leave my work there and come back home. And then my work's out there and I went in home. I would not like my work being in my home. That's me. That's my view anyway. But it's been promoted since then, since the big events, and since March 2020 that changed. A lot of things changed since then. And working from home was certainly was promoted big time, Yeah, I don't fancy doing tests again. Well, the regular tests are driving tests. The thing is, if you want to be a driver, a bus driver, you need to be able to have, you'd have to have experience, road experience with driving anything, a car or something. Because you really need it. You'd really need experience, at least a year. The more experience, the better. But the thing about driving the buses, it's actually the driving bit's quite easy. I like driving anyway. I like buses and I like driving. It's not driving it could be too easy. But that's the thing about driving. You could, you've heard of the falling asleep behind the wheel. You've heard of that. That's how easy, because of the modern vehicles. There's nothing. I suppose if you were to drive an old vehicle from the 1920s or 30s, you'd be driving. They didn't have. You had to adjust the timing and everything. Oh, it would be a chore. Yeah, you wouldn't find it easy. But nowadays, cruise control, you could be going on the motorway, and you've heard of the saying, you know, the Belgium on wheels. But the buses have got power steering, they're so automatic gearbox. The thing that gets me with buses is the likes of the, you know, you've got, because of the size, the blind spots and stuff like that. But driving, you're always on the ball, no matter what you're driving. But particularly the bigger the vehicle, you've got more responsibilities, you know, overwhelming. I don't even like thinking about the responsibilities, because they could be carrying over 100 passengers, school kids and stuff. You've got to put that, I put that on my, you know, it's in my mind, I'm aware of that all the time, but you can't dwell on it. You know, you've got to realise you can't, but that is really ultimately it. All these lives are in your hands when you're controlling a vehicle that size with all these people in it. Even when you're driving a car, you've still got lives at hands. It's not just the passengers, you've got everybody else around you. So yeah, you're on the ball all the time, but you've got to be driving. I reckon if you wanted to do that job, you'd really need to like driving. If you don't like driving, forget it. If you don't like driving, don't apply for a job in the buses, because it really, you wouldn't enjoy it. I like driving, and I find it very stressful sometimes, extremely stressful, extremely stressful sometimes in that job. And it's not just the driving bit, but there's all these other things as well that happen that can make it off the scale as stressful. But when you've had a rest and you went home and come back the next day, you know, you feel better. You will get plenty of days, you'll get your fair share of that, trust me, you will. But I suppose any job's like that. But you've got to really like shifts as well. Shifts, if you can't do shifts, then that's not the job. Although I'm on a 4-day week, but you still got to be willing to do shifts. Sorry mate, I realise I keep going, keeping you awake. Oh, yeah, I can't believe I've been on 2 hours. So that's another cue of the lights, because if that goes off every 15 minutes with the ignition, I'm going to have to go. No, it's nice talking to you as all. It was nice talking to you, Truman. It's the first time I've done a live for ages. It's great to speak to my viewers, and viewers feedback and speaking back to me, I suppose you could look on it that way. Yeah, I can't believe it's 1 o'clock. Time sped up. I only felt like I'd been on an hour. Right, I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining in, and just keep a check on my channel just to see what else I put up. Okay, bye for now. Bye for now. Yes.